Is it a 9-band superhero? Or is it a language master? Nah, it's just your IELTS preparation soaring. Let's have a look at this prediction video. Let's start with the speaking cue cards first. That's the fun part anyway. So, the first one that I recommend is look at this cue card. Describe a book that you have read many times. This has been asked a few times so far, so a lot of repetition for a lot of IELTS exam with this cue card. So focus on it. Good things we're going to talk about here is what the book is, right? First you have to explain that. So, explain or describe. And when you talk about the book, you have to talk about the story of the book, or what was the book about, right? What was it about? So that's another thing you want to focus on. Now, here's the thing. When you talk about this, talk about your feelings. In this cue card, describe how you felt when you read this book. You could have felt thrilled, or you could have read the book overnight. I've done that a few times. Maybe you just found it really interesting. Talk about that. Talk about what you found fascinating in this book, okay? Now let's move forward. Describe a piece of good news that you heard about someone you know well. Of course, this has been repeated multiple times, so, focus on this cue card. And of course, you have to talk about someone that you know really well. Those are the important bits. And of course, what the good news is. So some things we're going to talk about is mention what the good news was, what that was, and who the person is, describe them. And then, of course, talk about how you felt when you heard about the news. What did you feel? Did you feel inspiration? Did you feel happiness? Did you feel, any of the positive emotions, really? Focus on that. That's what this cue card is all about. Let's move on to the next one. Describe a movie you watched recently that you felt disappointed about. This cue card, we've all watched movies that are disappointing. I've seen a lot. Hollywood always disappoints me. That's just my take. I don't know what's for you. So talk about the movie, what the movie was, the important bit. And of course, talk about when it's a movie, there could be a few reasons why you found the movie disappointing. One could be the plot of the movie. Second could be direction, right? Third could be maybe the acting. Or it could be the cinematography, right? So it could be any of these four things, or other, I don't know, pick a point why you found the movie disappointing and talk about that. You can always talk about who you watched the movie with, where you watched it, why it's important to you. So, always talk about why does it matter to you. It helps. Let's go to the next cue card. Describe an occasion when you got incorrect information. Ooh, this one is my favorite because it's been repeated a few times. And of course, it's kind of interesting to talk about because first you have to describe what the occasion was. So, that's point A. Then you also have to talk about incorrect information. That's point B. Of course, you also have to talk about who gave you that incorrect information. That's point C. And then, of course, what were your actions after that incorrect information that you received? And what was the outcome of it? There you go. I just basically created a whole answer for you just by doing this. That's how you want to talk about it. Make it coherent, make it easy to understand. Let's move forward. Describe an unforgettable meal you had. Now, unforgettable, it could either be positive or it could be negative. Really depends upon how you want to play this one, right? If it's positive, talk about a meal that you had was amazing, was mind-blowing, and you never had something like that before in your life. Talk about who you had it with, where you had it, why it's important to you, what was the occasion, maybe it was your birthday, I don't know, you decide. Now, the other perspective is negative. You went with high hopes, but they were not delivered to you. So, you can talk about either way about the meal. Describe the meal itself, describe the taste, the texture, the smell. Maybe give some backstory to the food as well. It'll help to basically, speak for those 2 minutes that you have to. Now, let's move forward. Describe a time when you talked to a group of people. Now, here, important thing, group of people. So now this could be basically public speaking. That's what it could be, right? That you gave a speech, or it could be maybe some sort of an event that you spoke at, right? Or it could be maybe a sports event, right? Maybe a football match or whatever. Could be any of those. So, talk about that. Describe the occasion itself. Describe what you talk about. That's important, your speech itself. What was the speech that you gave? And finally, talk about what it made others feel like, right? Feelings, That's always a good thing to kind of talk about. So there you go. Next cue card. Describe an occasion when you spend time with a young child. Now, this one is an interesting one because if you talk about a young child, you also have to describe the occasion. It could be, I don't know, maybe your, cousin, could be like maybe your friend's child. I don't know, it could be anyone really. It just has to be a young child. Talk about what you guys did together. That's important, right? The what. Talk about where it was. That's important. Maybe you went out for a picnic. Maybe you stayed at home. Maybe you were just babysitting. Could be any of those, right? So talk about those. And of course, talk about the outcome of it. Like maybe you found the child interesting and, you decided to like babysit more. Or maybe you found them annoying and you were like, yeah, I never want to do this again. Talk about that. It'll help. Next cue card. Describe a place you visited where the air was polluted. Pollution being the key word here. So when we talk about this, make sure you have some topic-specific vocabulary. You want to learn vocabulary about the environment, right? So that's important. Learn some words to describe that. And of course, you want to talk about the place. Describe the place. Mention where you went, who you were with, when it was. Describe the place itself. And then, why you went there. Talk about that as well. It'll give you something to talk about. Now, next cue card. Describe a time when someone gave you something that you really wanted. So it's basically a gift. That's what this is about, right? It could be an iPhone. It could be, I don't know, a piece of technology. Could be a membership. Could be Netflix subscription gift. Whatever, really. Talk about that. You have to describe the someone. You have to describe, what that something was. And of course, talk about, make it personal. Make it, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Whatever cue card might come, always remember, why does it matter? Why do you want to talk about this? What makes it so important? That is always to kind of good about to talk in your cue cards. Finally, describe a time when you missed or were late for a meeting. Yeah, I hate being late for meetings. And if you've been late for a meeting, which I'm pretty sure you have, talk about that. What was the meeting about? That's important. And where was the meeting, right? And why were you late? That's important to talk about. So there you go. Speak about those things. Now, we'll talk about writing task 2 questions. Some of these have, well, actually, all these are recent exam questions. So, it'll kind of give you a decent idea of what to kind of aim for. It is impossible to help all people in the world. So governments should focus on people in their own countries. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Give reasons and including relevant examples. So you got to do 4 things. You have to talk about first, the government's doing just for the people or like for everyone. Talk about the pros and cons, right? Once you've done that, you have to decide, do you agree or disagree? Once you've done that, give an analysis of like why. That's important, right? You have to talk about an analysis. Well, maybe it comes before that and then you agree, disagree. And of course, you have to, like when you do the analysis, give your reasons and include examples. You must include those 2 things. Otherwise, your answer will be incomplete. And then you do a conclusion. Right? There you go. That's how you write this. Now let's look at the next question. Studies show that many criminals have a low level of education. For this reason, people believe that the best way to reduce crime is to educate people in prison so they can get a job when they leave prison. Do you agree or disagree? Give reasons for your answer. So you have to give reasons. You have to agree or disagree. And then you have to include in relevant examples. Again, 4 things that you have to do. Now, this is an interesting topic because, I don't know how much experience you have or how much you've known about this topic, but always start with brainstorming ideas. Have your 2 sides. Side 1, like, yeah, they should get some education. Side 2, no, it doesn't really matter. It's a waste of, taxpayer money. And then you write down those points. Once you've done that, do an analysis. Once you've done the analysis, make your stance. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? And then write a conclusion. That's how you want to go about writing this essay. So there you go. Next question. Some people argue that the fittest and the strongest individuals and teams can achieve the greatest success in sports. But others think that success is much related to mental attitude. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Give reasons for your answer, including relevant examples. Again, 4 things that you have to do. Again, like I mentioned earlier, start by creating 2 sides to the perspective. One is that, the strongest and the fittest make sure that they survive, right? And other things that, it's the mental attitude. So give your points for each of those. Then do a quick analysis. Once the analysis is done, then you can talk about the conclusion. Make sure you hit this 250 word limit. That's important. Anything less than that, that's not good. You lose points. Anything more than that, that's okay. Go longer if you have to. That's totally fine. And make sure you have an introduction, you have BP1, BP2, and a conclusion. Because if you don't do this, again, you lose points. And focus on vocab again. That's important. Now let's move forward. Some people think that they have the right to use as much fresh water as they want, but others believe government should control the use of fresh water as it is a limited resource. Discuss both views, give your opinion. So here, it's actually 2 things that you kind of have to do. Like talk about both the perspectives, right? So perspective 1 and perspective 2, that's there. Write out your points and then compare. Do a quick analysis. Once you've done the analysis, do your conclusion. That's important. So you've done that, there you go, boom, good. So that's how you're gonna, focus on this question. Next question. Some people believe that no one should work after the age of 65, while others say that they can work as long as they want. Discuss both views, give your opinion. 2 things to do, discuss both the sides and give your opinion. Here, make it quick, make it easy, make it painful. Painless, sorry, well, that was a typo there. 250 words, you're gonna focus on that. And of course, vocabulary. Don't do any repetitions. Any repetitions will actually cause you a lot of points. That's bad. So, don't let that happen. So yeah, that's something to kind of focus on there. Now, let's quickly jump into the reading bit. Now, this exam, I'm expecting it to be a little bit like a medium difficulty. It could actually be a little bit on the upper hand and might even be hard. So, let's see how it plays out. Some things you're going to keep in mind, focus on multiple choice questions. I always ask you to do this. Number 2, short answer questions. So focus on those. Number 3, true, false, not given. If you don't know how to kind of clear these out, do a little bit more research on my channel itself. There are a few videos on this one to kind of how to pursue these questions. So you can go there. And then of course, matching features, focus on these question type, summary completion, as well as matching headings. Matching headings is usually the hardest one for a lot of candidates. So, because you have to compare the information. Read carefully, take your time, slow down, so that'll help you out. And of course, some things to kind of keep in mind when you sit through your reading exam, time management is important. Manage your time well, don't rush through things, and don't slow down either. You want to take your time. And you don't want to spend too much time either, okay? Skimming, scanning, and keyword selection, these are important. Brush up on these techniques. I have videos on my channel. Go look this up and learn there. Do some careful reading as well. When you've located the information using these 3 techniques, you want to do some careful reading to compare the information. For example, in true, false, not given, or matching the headings, you need to understand what the passage is saying. That's important. Find the marking, use X's, use circles, use underlines, use points, use question marks, whatever. But the whole point is when you're reading the paper, map it out so that when you flip pages and you come back to this page, you know exactly where that information is that you're looking for. This will help you out. So there you go. That's something to kind of keep in mind when you're reading. So there you go. I hope you find this video useful. This is something that, helps you kind of get through this exam. And hey, you know what? If you're struggling with anything, drop them in the comments. There's still some time left to go before this exam comes in. I'm here to help you out there. If you have any friends who are struggling with this stuff, share this video with them. They'll find it useful. If not, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Good luck with their exam.